antlers?
The brown tree?
Oh, this one is
The
all
willow, that's wolf willow.
Oh my God, I can see the British one.
Yeah, it's the wolf
I don't know
willow.
what it is. I think one of the, is it maybe from the Maori ladies? Is that
Okay, it's
Australian?
recording.
I remember Rena or whatever got me a gift, but I don't know if it was this.
3, 2, 1. Social distance.
Practicing social distancing here at the office. We want to welcome you today to our Facebook live stream episode number 9. Today we're going to be looking at right number 30. The Indigenous children have the right to speak their language and enjoy their culture. First, though, I'd like to welcome you back to our new space. I guess we're welcome back to our space. We're back at 346 Portage Avenue. Really excited to be back here. Had some really great memories. There's whiteboards all over the office with all of the kids' thoughts and writings, and so I just wanted to put that out there that we're back at home. I'm going to let Cheryl get started. Today she will be doing some teaching on wisdom, so the Beaver, which is on the beautiful carpet right behind us. So Cheryl, come at her.
Bonjour. Kanua Big Tijnakas Namean Mawagan. My English name is Cheryl. I come from the Sturgeon clan, and I'm going to just give thanks today in English to be able to share with everybody about our language. Thank you, Creator, for this beautiful day. Thank you for giving us another opportunity to just stay in today, to be able to help our people, to be able to help our children and our families. I ask, Creator, that you watch over each and every one of us and take good care of the community that we are in as things are starting to slowly come alive again, and there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of caution and emotions running high. So I'm asking that you take care of each and every one of us in a good way. It's very nice to be back in our office today. So I'm going to say that the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth wish to acknowledge that we are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the beautiful homeland of the MACY Nation.
And John, I am also back again this week with some technical difficulties, but we think we have them figured out. So I keep saying that, of course. So we'll see. We met with our Youth Ambassador Advisory Squad, like our YAAS shirts that we have here this week. And again, every week when we meet with them, they have some brilliant things to say. So it just made me realize how much we miss meeting with them in person in this space now that we're back. So I can't wait for that to come forward. I also want to mention that as you're watching the video, if you want to leave a comment or a question, we can get back to them. We will get back to them the best we can. And by entering or putting your name down, you definitely are entered to win one of our MACY swag items that we have. So just feel free to leave questions on the videos, and again, we will answer them. And yeah, I guess that's about it for now.
So today, Cheryl will again be talking about the Beaver teaching and wisdom, but she'll also be sharing some stories on the little people. So we had talked about that a few weeks ago. This is take number 2 for today. It took us a while to get here though. So as promised, we got some jelly beans, and Cheryl and I were able to go and hopefully get it set up so that John can finally one day have a peaceful Friday.
One day.
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
So I'm going to jump in right there and talk a little bit about the wee thing. And those are what we call the little people. And sometimes when things are not going the way we want them to go, or they're stopping and blocks in our path going forward, we need to stop and recognize, or just save us the trouble of getting mad and really stopping what we need to be doing. For me, that's an indicator when I see that we need to make those offerings. So today I brought my big jar of candy. I'm famous for my big jar of candy. So I always have candy around, but this morning before we taped this episode, Kathy brought in jelly beans. The little people love jelly beans. So we went out and we said a prayer. We were telling them what was going on, what we were asking for. So we offered those jelly beans in a good way to be able to keep going in a good way on this path, to be able to have our program going, to be able to retransition back into our original office area, and to also be able to get back to work. Slowly but surely, these things will happen. So when we have that belief system and we have those gifts to be able to offer those simple little things, cloth, shiny things, I threw out some money there because the little people they like to play tricks on us. Nanaboozhoo talks about that. He was the original trickster in our culture for the Ojibwe. He came right down from the original man, and I've been rereading books. I've had time to kind of go through things. I've talked a little bit about the Mishumas book, and that was it's been around for a long time. I actually have a copy right here, and that's The Voice of the Ojibwe, and it's by Edward Benton Benai. It's been around since about 1988, and I've really enjoyed reading it over the years. A lot of the things that they talk about are very powerful. They're good teachings to understand, to learn, but you also have to live them. And that ties into what the Beaver talks about. The Beaver talks about wisdom. And so I'm gonna share a little bit. Wisdom is brought to us by the Beaver. The Beaver is considered to be one of the most intelligent, hardworking animals in all of creation. Have you ever seen how big a beaver dam is?
I have seen a beaver dam that was so large, and I have seen construction workers take it down and gone back 2 days later, and the entire structure is back up. They are powerful.
One of the things that I know about beavers is that they are the original creative architects in Mother Nature. And what you see on the top is only a third of what is underneath. They have levels and levels and levels, and they host a community in there. It's not just for them, but for the community. So that kind of wisdom to be able to shelter, and that's what the beaver represent is a mick in our language. A mick means is the beaver, and that wisdom, the beaver uses its gifts to change the world. It shows us how its sharp teeth for cutting trees and branches. And if that beaver doesn't use its teeth, because those teeth always grow, that's why he keeps using to chew away on things. Could you imagine our teeth were always growing? So if it didn't use those teeth, it would continue to grow until they became useless, ultimately contributing to the death of that poor beaver. The same can be said for us. If we do not use the gifts that we are given, then we are not helping ourselves, and we're not helping society or our community at large, especially our children, to be able to share those gifts. That's how we pass things along. One spirit will grow weak if they're not used. So some of the teachings about the beaver is that it lives in wisdom is to use your gift that has been given to you. So that's our basic goal in life, is to find out what your gifts are. A lot of us use our gifts in many ways. I know you guys enjoy my laughter and my sick humor. And then the not using your knowledge. Knowledge comes in many different ways. You've either lived through an experience, you've gained, or some lesson that is presented to you. And if you share it with others and pass it on to them through that experience, that knowledge exchange, that is your gift of being able to share that teaching. So each life lesson is sometimes painful, but powerful, and you can get through it. I remember a wise elder said, if you are brought to it, you will get through it. So I thought about that, and
I need to write that down.
Yeah, well, if anything that you are presented with as a stoppage or a test or a lesson, if it keeps reappearing, you have to be able to because it's being brought to you over and over. So you have to be able to get through it. Just kind of look at what that lesson looks like. So that's what I'm going to give you for food for thought, and the true wisdom each life lesson gives you. So there's something that keeps reappearing. What is that lesson telling you? And that's the wisdom of the beaver that he shares with us, to be able to look. So that's what I'm teaching on the beaver.
I'm learning you don't trust technology. I'm repeating.
You know what? As Aboriginal people, technology is not our friend. In ceremony, we don't, unless you have the time to come with your tobacco and sit, you don't worry about the time. You'll see a lot of us don't wear watches. But also, we don't rush through things. Mm-hmm. It's from the time you get there till the time you go. We never ask what time things come about. But technology, we don't take pictures. We're not supposed to, because that was never our way. So there used to be, when I was young, I used to hear a lot of people in the old Treaty 3 area say that they didn't want their picture taken because it would capture their spirit and would take a little bit away from them. So they didn't like that technology too much. And they spoke the true language. I just love their language. So miigwech for letting me share that a little bit today.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. And interesting. One of the conversations we had one time with the youth was kind of their favorite sacred teaching. So mine has always been humility, but wisdom is pretty interesting. So when you asked me about the beaver, I actually witnessed it. So I was young, but now in hindsight, I look at it and I look at the engineering and the architecture that went in there and just, yeah, and how fast and hard they work. So
they're very committed animals because, like you say, they take it down and 2 days later, that's their spot. They are not moving.
I like the beaver.
Yeah, very committed.
So for wisdom that you have gained, hopefully we're able to impart wisdom that you're able to use for any youth and for youth caregivers and anybody looking after youth, any adult really. That's why we talk about the UNCRC. So there are the 42 rights or articles that we have, and you can see on the screen there. They're a little small, so you can't really read them. There is a link on our website. So if you go to manitobaadvocate.ca under resources, the UNCRC children-friendly version is printable, so feel free to go on there. And it's important. We talk about this UNCRC. What is it? So it's the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And I think what our goal is to not just let children and youth know about their rights, but to make sure they understand really how to apply them in their life and what they're really about, and look into more than just the words and how they apply. So it's just important to look at what is a right and what's a want. And I've said this before, and I feel the need to keep saying it, is, a want is something that you're just wanting, right? If you want a puppy, let's say, or an Xbox or a PlayStation or something like that, that's something you want. But a right is something you're entitled to, and it's legal rights. So these aren't optional. These 42 rights are not optional. As adults, we have the responsibility. We don't have the choice. We can't pick or choose which ones that we help youth with. These are all legal, and they're all binding for every youth. So that's why it's more important that we find ways to tell youth about them and make sure that they really understand, how they apply.
Yeah. So today our rights on number 30, Indigenous children have the right to speak their language and enjoy their culture. These rights are very important, especially in this time right now when there's little access. The right to practice religion and beliefs if they're not harmful. The right to access family culture and the justice systems if you can't live with your family. Right to be raised respectfully according to your traditions. All 4 of these rights I'm going to talk a little bit about. When you don't have that access due to what's going on with COVID-19 right now, take those and just change your perspective a little. Each and every one of us can be able to pray every day. You can have your water blessed every day. These are things you don't need to go to ceremony. These are things that you can do on your own in your own home. You can make tobacco offerings. You can make tobacco ties, smudging. and just sharing with your family. If your family, you could have a little sharing circle. You could have your bundle blessed, a feast. These are all things that you can do within your own family, in your own home. There's lots of, if you have access to the internet, there's a lot of people sharing songs. There's a lot of people sharing culture in various ways. Don't let the fact that you cannot physically leave your home to be able to participate. To be Indigenous is your identity and your language is what is important to be able to understand who you are. It's a belief system. It shows you to be able to pray in your language or to be able to pray out loud. These are things that you can do for yourself in your own home. But to understand that you don't need to have to go to ceremony, you can do it within your own home. And to also, when the time comes to be able to go out safely back to ceremony, you're ready to go. You can still do it. Each of us has our own belief system. To be able to go to Sundance, to go to powwow, to be able to go out into the community and do celebrations. Those are all right now put on hold for safety reasons, but you can still have that in your own home to be able to keep your strength, your belief, and your identity intact. These are things that are traditions that have been passed down for time immemorial. So to be able to give what you have to your family and to be able to be searching for ways to look at it. I know for myself, I'm not going to let COVID-19 stop me from being who I am as an Indigenous woman and a grandmother and a family member, to be able to share with my family what little bit of knowledge that I have to share through my job. We're able to have that. So I say miigwech because it's a very big blessing to be respectful and being able to understand that our safety is important, but these rights are also important, to be able to look at it from a healthy perspective and what we can do in this time and age right now. And when the other avenues become available, that's when you can go and search out your path in a good way.
So thank you, Cheryl. And that brings us to my favorite part of our Facebook Live, which is where we get to showcase our youth ambassadors who work really hard to make sure that they're familiar with these rights and are continuously looking at ways to try and help other young people understand that they too have rights. So we're going to play a video today from a young man who is Indigenous and who kind of reconnected with his culture while he was on a little break. So he was unable to create the video, but he was able to give us his written word. And one of our youth ambassadors, Michael, had agreed to actually do the video for him. So it's a beautiful piece of work, and we hope that we can continue making these videos or encouraging our young people to make them so we can share them with you every week. So John will show the video.
The following statement was written by a member of YAAS, and here are his thoughts. Article 12 of the UNCRC says that children and youth have the right to express their opinion and to be heard, especially in court. The UNCRC also says in Article 37 that youth in the justice system must be treated with dignity and have the right to access their families and their culture. Having somebody that cares and listens to you while in custody is a big thing. Same with visits. It makes me and others feel good, I noticed. It can impact a kid's life. I want to talk about things, but I haven't been talking. I try to talk, but it seems like no one wants to take me serious. Like no one ever approaches me. I want to be free from my past. I have come to realize that there's more to this life. My culture helped me realize it. I want to take care of my family one day. I want them to know I'm connected with the culture. It helps me remember who I am and what I'm working for. And it keeps me humble. When I sing, I feel proud that I can do something beautiful. It makes me feel good about myself. I never realized how beautiful my culture is until I got into custody. I'm glad I found myself here. I connected with the culture and it helps me a lot. I pray almost every morning. I hope I stay connected with the culture when I leave this place. I have a lot of good and positive future goals for myself. I want a good life. My future goals are to be a good chicken dancer and singer. I also want to help troubled youth, people just like me. I like talking about my future goals. It kind of helps me remember what I'm working for. I will succeed. Watch me. I do have a rough past. I do think about it a lot. It hurts. I will be able to tell my story one day, and people will listen.
So we hope you enjoyed that as much as we do, and we really hope that we're able to create some more videos. We are all on the same page when it comes to the belief that young people should be leading change and mobilizing change amongst each other with the support of the adults around them. So that's really our goal, is to, again, amplify the voice of young people and help them to share it with their peers. So that particular right, which is minority and Indigenous children have the right to speak their language and enjoy their culture, really, really important. And we've had a lot of discussions around culture and what that looks like. So look at it in a broader system. So what is your family culture and what does that look like? All children have the right to speak their language and enjoy their culture. So with that said, when we're looking at what types of family culture we have, it could be Indigenous or non-Indigenous, right? Your religious beliefs, right, number 14, you have the right to practice religion and beliefs if they are not harmful to others. So your opinion is so important, and you have the right to be respected and protected, as does your culture and your access to family and tradition. So I'm going to leave that particular topic, but I wanted to just really quickly, I know we had talked about it a few episodes ago, and John had just mentioned it again earlier. There are apps for language. So if you're looking to expand your linguistic abilities, go onto apps and learn to speak. There's Ojibwe and Cree, learn to speak French or Spanish. Find something that you want and use those apps. They are free. So put it in the comments if you want the access or the links to it, and we'll send it out for you.
There's lots of people on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I couldn't think of Facebook, but they do little language blurbs of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So they share in their language. So those are very helpful.
And the other thing, I just wanted to again let everybody know that we are continuing to work on the listening tour. So although we have had to stop our travels throughout Manitoba, we really do want you to go online and review that and fill out the survey if you can, if you're able to. We'll continue to post links to all of the resources that we're coming up with for young people.
Let's put out a shout out to all the teachers in the middle year school and senior schools. And if you're interested, you could drop us a line with your contact information to be able to have us do a one-to-one or an online presentation with you. Mm-hmm. That would be helpful as well. Thank you.
And I think that's important, because part of the listening tour we wanted, it's about letting youth know about their rights, but it's also hearing from the youth. And that's what this survey is all about, is the youth telling us, okay, so what's going on in their communities? What are the struggles that youth are facing? But I think better than that, we don't just dwell on what's going wrong. We ask what's going right. And so we want to spread what's going on right around the community so that everybody has access to that, as well as any ideas that youth have, because we've figured out just how brilliant youth are week in and week out. Our youth ambassadors just mind-blowing sometimes when it comes to their thoughts and their opinions. So we want to hear from all youth in Manitoba on not just what the problems are, but how they would solve them. Because I think
from the youth perspective.
Yeah, from a youth perspective. Because I mean, I'm not a youth anymore, unfortunately. And so I don't, I don't think my opinion.
Except when you're setting up computer equipment,
maybe.
he's hanging from ceilings and jumping walls. So
I just don't think I have the same take that youth have nowadays. So I figure their input and how they would solve things is definitely more valid than mine would be. So, and I just want to quickly show this little picture here of our Manitoba advocates are working at home right now, hard at work. Even our little fish pets are working. I can't remember.
Bacon Bits.
Bacon Bits.
Hi, Bacon Bits.
This is Bacon Bits.
Bacon
Shout out.
Bits.
Working hard from home. So please reach out to our office. We are still here during all of this. Our advocates are working and they're hard at work helping youth every day. And if you don't know if you should be calling, then call. And we have the number 1-800-263-7146. And again, we're here to help. So we want to hear your voice and we're here just to listen. And if that's all you get out of it and that's all you need, then that's fine. But our advocates will help you figure things out to find your own voice. So please use us because we are here.
And the other thing, if you have any ideas or specific rights you would like to hear us talk about on a Friday, drop a line in the comments and we would be happy to, we want all the feedback we can get. So from our youth ambassadors, from any young people that are watching, service providers, if there's something in particular you would like us to spend 20 to 30 minutes on for a Friday, we'll absolutely look at that. And then I really just had to throw in something about Bacon Bits. I think he might be the longest lasting beta office fish I've ever come across. So
He survived the flood.
John saved him. Thank you, John. So he's still going strong and we'll be back at 346 with us as well soon. I'm done my part, so I'm going to let Cheryl close off unless John has anything further.
But, Cheryl, if you could send us off in a good way, and then next week we'll be entered and ready to go because the little people have their jelly beans, and I think they're
That's
good.
right, they do.
We're going to put out in the universe that next Friday we will be live at 11 o'clock. I don't want to jinx myself, but we have, as Cheryl said, done the tobacco, the jelly beans. She's going to work really hard all week. We're going to ask John to rest all week, and hopefully we can be smooth sailing next Friday.
So, Creator, we're saying thank you, and we're reminding everybody that's watching that you can make prayers out loud anywhere you are. You can restart your day. You can use that power of prayer to help get you through those life lessons that we all struggle with. We also say thank you for each day because it's that simple to be able to understand that we're not in charge of what's going on. We're not in charge of a lot of things, but we have to just simply say thank you. And if you don't have that tobacco, go outside and just say thank you. It's as simple as just opening up your hands to pray. And that's it. You have water. If you have water, offer a little water to the garden. That's as simple as it is. And I say thank you to be able to understand what it is that each and every one of us are going through. Our province is really doing everything that we can to be safe, to be honestly doing our part. And I say thank you to all the frontline workers for staying home and flattening that curve that we all have to. But those essential workers, those frontline workers are doing a very good job. And I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Miigwech.
Thank you. See you next week.